5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You are now live.
Okay.
You live, sis.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I was counting. Hi everybody, it's me, Rosa from Our Lives Matter again this week. And this week I want to kind of go away from the usual and talk about what I have been noticing. As of today, since this shutdown has began, 120 Black women have lost their lives since the pandemic began around March 14th, I believe. March 14th is when it started. And as of today, as I said, we were at 149 murders of Black women and girls when the pandemic began on March 14th. As of today, we are up to at least 269, which are known and identified. I do have, give or take, about 10 that are eventually going to be added, but because I don't have their identities have not been confirmed, I don't add those numbers. But I can tell you as of today, it is 269 Black women and girls who have lost their lives in totality, and that would be 120 since the pandemic began. Now, today's subject is murder-suicide. I have been noticing that there is a very big increase of murder-suicides in the Black community. Starting back, the first murder-suicide that I recorded for this year was on January 2nd, which was Miss Tiana Drummond, a 28-year-old woman out of Burlington, New Jersey. Now, Miss Drummond, like I said, was our first fatality of the year. Ever since she has been murdered, there has been at least 2 murder-suicides a week. Those numbers significantly jump when we have double, triple murder-suicides that are occurring, or in situations of domestic violence, like an issue that happened back on the 27th in Milwaukee, where a mother, her daughter, and a cousin were all murdered. It was 5 people in total that were killed, but it was 3 women that were killed along with 2 teenage boys. Now back to Miss Drummond. Miss Drummond was murdered back in her apartment on January 2nd. And she was in a relationship with a man. She was apparently trying to leave him, and usually that's a very contentious time. And instead of him allowing her to go on her way, he decided to take her life. And as I said, that was our first one of the year was Miss Drummond. The next one is, I'm sorry.
She's coming.
Okay, the next one is Donisha Jones, a 36-year-old woman out of South Bend, Indiana. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She had been, this story is a little tangled. Miss Jones was the mother of a daughter who was 17 years old, who had been murdered a few years before. And her husband, in turn, Ms. Danisha Jones' husband, ended up killing her and himself. Again, marital problems, and it ended. So he decided to take her out. And the following week, I'm sorry, I'm multitasking here.
That's all right. So am I. You're good. I'm just trying to see what.
All right, January 2nd was Tiana. We had one, I don't have her picture right now. On the 7th was a LaJasmar Swain. She was 26, out of White Plains, Georgia. She was another victim of murder-suicide. It was domestic violence in nature. She was killed on January 7th. Then that's Danisha Jones that's on your screen now. On January 13th, out of South Bend, Indiana. Again, murder-suicide related to domestic violence. I don't have a picture for the next victim. On January 22nd, Tammy Sharice Ash, 45 years old, victim of domestic violence out of Panama City in Florida. On January 26th, we have two women were, Alexis Reed was killed January 26th out of Atlanta, and she was also killed with another woman, Dawana. Let me see. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. My screens are messing up. Okay.
Take your time.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get this information out there. Let's read. Because I don't want to put any misinformation. All right. Alexis Reed was killed in Atlanta on January 26th out of Atlanta, Georgia. She was a Delta employee. But a few hours prior to that, he killed Tynesha Denise Shelby, 33, also January 26th out of Atlanta, Georgia. So two women, Alexis Reed, Tynesha Denise Shelby, were killed by the same man out of Atlanta, Georgia, who in turn, he killed himself. He was seeing both women, Miss Alexis Reed. They got into a heated argument in the Delta parking lot. He actually worked at Delta with her, and he ended up killing her in the parking lot, and he was fatally shot. They fatally shot after all of this happened. So two women killed by the same man on the same day, and that was back January 26th out of Atlanta. After that, the next murder-suicide was Virginia Nicole Hill.
Is this right here? Is that her?
Let me make sure. I'm sorry.
Take your time. I want to make sure I got your pictures matched up right.
I said Virginia Hill, correct? Okay. Make sure I got her. Actually, Virginia, let me tell you, Virginia is that last one that I sent you. Because it out of order.
That she sent me. So, okay, so Virginia, let's take a minute. Let's make sure we get things in order. So give me just a minute. Yeah. So Virginia is the last one you sent me from Waycross, Georgia?
Correct.
Okay, hold on. So hold on right there. Copy. Hold on. Let me get her up. So I want people to match, the
face with the victim.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna bring her up. And while we're bringing her picture up, just remind us again of what happened with her story while she's coming up.
Okay. With Miss Hill, let me pull it up.
No. Her name is Virginia Nicole Hill, 41
Yeah,
years old.
yeah, that's what I said, Miss Hill. Okay, here we go. Miss Hill was out of Waycross, Georgia on February 2nd. Uh, I'll just read it. She was a married couple. They were found shot to death in the parking lot of a commercial warehouse. The authorities said, of course, it was a murder-suicide. They responded because they thought it was an active shooter at the plant. And when they got there, one of the employees had heard a man arguing with his wife. Her husband worked at this facility. I'm not sure what brought her to the job. Who knows? But the employee heard the man arguing with his wife. Then he heard gunfire outside and inside the building. Once police got there, they found both of them dead. And that was in Waycross, Georgia on February 7th. And that's who you see right now on your screen, Miss Virginia Hill. After February 7th, the next murder-suicide happened actually 2 days later. We don't have her picture right now.
So is that at in White Plains, Georgia, or where?
That was Waycross, Georgia, for Virginia Nicole Hill. That was Waycross, Georgia.
No, the next one you're talking about. I'm trying to match your pictures up with your story.
Oh yeah, LaTiffany, we don't have her picture right now. I was trying to get hers. I'm just going in order.
Okay.
She was on February 9th out of Dallas, Texas, and that was another murder-suicide. Let me go ahead and see the next one that you have right there. That black and white photo.
All right, here it comes.
That's out of White Plains, Georgia.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm bringing her up now.
Okay.
Here she comes.
All right.
What's her story?
Now, Miss Swain, this is LaJasmar Swain. She's 20, she was 26. Miss Swain was another victim of a murder-suicide in White Plains, Georgia. And her 8-year-old child was actually in the home at the time of the shooting. And she was shot more than once. She was pronounced dead at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, the man who killed her, he ended up shooting himself. He had a single gunshot wound to the head. He ended up later dying. But they really don't know what was going on. But again, it was domestic violence related. Now, as I continue, a lot of these, some of the victims there, all of the victims are posted on my page that I speak of. My stories are in chronological order on my page, but because, technical difficulties do happen, I'm having some issues, I'm not able to bring everything up.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. All right. Now let's go starting on May 14th. I'm just talking.
Okay.
May 14th is when the pandemic lockdown started. That was victim number 149. On that day, we were at, actually on March 14th, we were at 152. We had 4 Black women killed that day, ranging in age from 22 to 72 years old. 4 women. Yes, from the ages of 22, out of Killeen, Texas, was an Asia Klein. Then we had a 48-year-old Teresa Allen out of Saginaw, Michigan. In fact, that was a double murder of 2 Black women in Saginaw, Michigan. It was Hortense Williams, who was 72, and Teresa Allen, 48. They were murdered out of Saginaw. They were together. They were killed together. They do not know who killed them. They're still looking for their killer. And then the fourth person out of Indiana was a Diashe Thompson. She was 24. So the ages on that day were 22, 24, 48, and 72 years old, all dead from gunshot wounds. So we started that day with at 149, ended with 152 when the pandemic began, which brings us to today, which is 269 victims.
Okay, hold on. You mean to tell me the pandemic started like what, March what?
14th, around the 14th.
So to date, March the 14th, which takes us into 2.5 months into the year, how many Black girls and women have been murdered in this country?
As of today, officially by on
March 14th.
Oh, on March 14th, it was 152.
That's ridiculous. So now we're looking at, we're at April, what's today's date? The
30th.
Today's the 30th?
Yep, April 30th.
Wow, I didn't even recognize that. So now what's the total? So from March 14th to April 30th, how many Black women have been murdered in the United States?
269 officially.
So that's including the 152 from the first 2.5 months of the year. Now you have another 6 weeks. We are 269.
We are 269, and I actually have about 10 who are not identified, which will make it jump by 10, which would actually make it 269. But since they're not identified, I don't include them in my actual numbers.
That's ridiculous. And that's sad.
Yes.
That's really sad.
Yes. And that's what brought me to want to discuss this issue, is because as I was talking with some other sisters yesterday, I said to them, if the reverse was occurring in the Black community, where Black women and girls were brutalizing, abusing, and murdering Black men and boys at the rate that they are doing that to us, there will be blood running in the streets.
Yeah.
There will be an all-out war in the Black community if we were doing to them what they are doing to us. The reality now is that the reverse is occurring, and we don't even get so much as even a sigh, a collective sigh of solidarity. We get nothing. The reverse is happening, and we're being told that these murders that are occurring to us are usually our fault. We're being blamed for our own deaths. We should have known better. We should have chose better. We should not have done this or that. We're blamed for our own deaths. But, and I'm gonna put it out there, I'm gonna say this. We know some of these brothers are out in these streets doing skullduggery. We know they out there doing wrong. And they are menace to our community. And I like to call them community terrorists. We have a lot of community terrorists who nobody wants to turn in, who nobody wants to put a stop to or do anything to. And yet nobody cares about that. If a cop does something, and I'm not, then don't take what I'm about to say as wrong, but I'm going to put it out there. Some of these menaces to society need to be put down. Some of them need to be removed from the community, imprisoned, what have you, however you want to take it. Now, when the cops come down on some of these dirty folks in the community, because some of these folks are dirty. He can be dirty. He can have sold dope, killed his own people, molested people. But if a cop or a white person does something to him, It's a national outrage. But that same person can go through the community and cause all kind of hell and havoc. Nobody says anything. He can rape somebody's sister. He can rob somebody's grandmama, and that's okay. Nobody wants to talk about black on black crime, because when you start talking about black on black crime, they want to accuse you of self-hatred.
And we want to get political and shit. That's the other part.
Right.
At the wrong
we don't want to take accountability for all of these women who are being executed, because this goes beyond murder. This is execution. They're being executed. You are killing generations with one woman. You are removing generations. You are killing bloodlines. You're removing the wombs from the community. And that's okay. That's okay. But if we were doing that to them, we would be wrong. We have a problem in our community, and that problem is accountability. Nobody wants to hear it, especially Black men. We can't ask them, why are they doing the things that they do? It should not be up to us to continuously bring up these issues within the community. We get accused of complaining. We get accused of hating and everything. Yesterday I had, or today, I had actually said, if Black men were being abused, brutalized, and murdered by Black women, imagine the amount of outrage, support, legislation that will be taking place. Yet now that is currently happening to us as Black women and girls at the hands of Black men and boys, there's no outrage. So, we don't get reciprocity. We don't get that. And it's just another way to gaslight us. It's like, it's some psychobabble going on where they want to say, make them think that it's their fault. That's not fair. Where are the Black men in our community to stand up and start taking their brothers to task? Where are the Black men to start talking about what's going on with their brothers? Yes, we have a problem in our community where it's too many female-headed heads of households. Constantly, we're hearing the problem in the Black community, once again, is Black women in these single-parent households. But you can't create a single-parent household by yourself. Where are the fathers? Where are the fathers? Where's their responsibility to these children that they're having and leaving behind? Where's their accountability? Why is it always on the Black woman's head to do something about it? And it's not fair. And again, I'm going to take it somewhere else. We have a catch-22 and as far as the Black community is concerned. If a Black woman is a single parent and she's trying to do the best she can, she's blamed for whatever happens. But then you have Black women who exercise their freedom of choice, be that birth control, abortion, or what have you. They also get blamed. It's like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Right on.
No matter which way we turn, we're wrong. And I also have to look back. We can look at, because I'm a science fiction lover, and we have to look at because sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. A Clockwork Orange was a book I'm sure many of you have heard of, as well as a movie written by Stanley Kubrick. But Anthony Burgess wrote in his novel about a Clockwork Orange. It was a dystopian future that he envisioned. And there was a term coined by him in this book that was written in the late 60s, the mid to late 60s, when he wrote his book. He coined a term called ultraviolence. The definition of ultraviolence is unnecessary, unprovoked, which is usually brutal violence. or violent acts simply for the thrill and entertainment of it all. And that's what Black women and girls and children are going through in the community. We are victims of ultra violence, and the men are not doing anything but calling us race traders, self-haters when we bring up the issues in the community. But my thing is, if the issues aren't brought up, who's going to bring it up, and where's the accountability? What are we to do? I just gave you some examples of some of the Black women that have been murdered. That's just that's not even a tip of the iceberg. I wouldn't even consider it a drop of a snowflake of the issue. 269 Black women have been murdered senselessly, violently, and none of these are in self-defense. Because what's another thing, I don't really put self-defense when there's an actual case of self-defense, but 269 Black women have been murdered. Girls, we're talking about infants, all the way up to matriarchs in their 80s and 90s being murdered. Where's the outcry? Where's the outrage? Why do we not have politicians speaking to this issue? Where's the church? The church in the community who always, they're always wanting to make sure people pay their tithes and offerings, and they talk about what they're doing in the community. And I try not to get on my soapbox about that, but if it wasn't for the Black woman, churches would be obsolete too. We are the purse strings in the church, but again, we're not getting a return on our investment as far as that's concerned. Where are all of these institutions in the community to help us? But if it's a prison campaign, taking somebody to see their brother, father, cousin, or, getting on these bus trips to go to prisons, they mostly not going to prisons to see us. They going to prisons to see Black men and women. I mean, to see Black men and not Black women. We're being left in the cold. We're shadow people. We don't even exist in our own community unless it's a gimme, gimme, gimme situation. Who's standing up for us? Where are our brothers? And I know it's some good brothers out there, but it's not enough, because the bad ones are overtaking everything. People want to say the bad as being magnified. That you can go either way with that.
We got to be safe. We cannot continue to worry about how Black men feel when we're not physically safe. That's not okay. You can't be sitting here being preyed upon and then have to worry about other people's safety. That's slavery. That's what they did to us in slavery, where you have to consider how everything made your master feel and you being oppressed. That's not okay.
Yesterday, a young lady I saw made a post on social media about how she loved her Black brothers, but she's afraid of them. That's real talk.
Wow.
And instead of brothers wanting to sit up and talk to her and apologize and say, you know what, we created this situation, they want to tell her maybe it's the Black man she chose, instead of looking at what the statement was about. The statement, she doesn't want to give up on them, but at the same time, she's scared.
She got to be safe. Again, we see one of the things about that's sad in our community, we can clearly look at white people and talk about misogyny and all that kind of shit, but we cannot do that with each other. And we know that if a young girl does not feel safe, it is not up to her to put herself in danger to make the predator feel safe. That's wrong. If you're not a predator, you should stand up and say, I feel you, sis. We're doing everything we can to make you safe. The same way you would tell white people if they say they were afraid of you, you'd be bending over backwards to make them feel safe of you. Do the same thing for your sister.
And that's always every week, what my takeaway is what what are they doing for us? What are they doing for us? We have did everything: marched, protested, uh, been jailed, even died, and nothing. When is the reciprocity coming from? Now you see a herd of, you see there's a fraction of women, Black women, who are starting to become female separatists.
If it's going to make them safe, God bless them. This is where I'm at. I just want Black women, however they going to do. I'm not trying to tell you how you should be safe. Just be safe. Everything you do has its repercussions, but you have to do what's going to make you safe. We got to stop putting Black girls and women lives on the line to make other people be okay. That's not okay. If it takes you to be separate, hey, do that for a minute till you're able to find another way. But safety is first, not the safety of other people. Your safety is first. So you can take that Superwoman cape and hang that shit up, because I'm not doing that. And we should not be programming and telling Black girls and women that their lives belong to other people and not their own, and that they don't feel protected. This is an outrage. 269 Black women murdered, and we are in April.
Yes.
You want to tell me about marching for some cops? Get the F out of here.
Yeah.
You better be marching in your own community with your own people. This is ridiculous. This is why people can't blend with pseudo Afrocentric Black black people, because when you talk about safety, they will all clear the room, because some of them have been guilty of the very things we speak of violence against Black women, of doing all kinds of supporting people who did violence and murder of our own people. We have supported people like that. And shame on you, because you should be sitting in prison next to them or in their place.
Yes, that's why I tell Black women in particular, stop jumping on these legal bandwagons. Stop jumping on this legislation for bail reform, because that bail reform, I keep saying it every time I can, bail reform is a death sentence for us, because when they're putting these criminal elements back into the community with low to no bails, guess who's going to be victimized?
Right.
Us. We're being victimized. People have during this pandemic, they initially said they weren't going to let out, they were only letting out nonviolent offenders. Well, guess what? Black women who support bail reform, they've been letting out violent offenders, rapists, and pedophiles who actually come out, and within 10 days, I have cases on my page. In less than 2 weeks' time, Black women have been murdered and raped and abused by people set free due to bail reform. You better start thinking about self-preservation.
Yeah.
Because bail reform, all of these legal hoops and tactics that are being made, it's not for Black women. It's not for us. They are not allowing Black women out in mass. And majority of the Black women who are in prison are in there because of a man. And they sit there until they rot. Meanwhile, somebody else, some Black man, has gotten out on bail reform. That some woman, Black woman more than likely, has shed her blood, sweat, and tears for. And that doesn't help her collective, her Black female collective. It's not helping her. You better start thinking about self-preservation, or the next victim might be you. And it's just at this point, I've just become extremely tired. I'm not tired to the point where I want to stop this and give it up, but spiritually tired, because this is an attack, not just on the physical plane, but the spiritual. It's real. It's real, and people do not want to acknowledge it.
Yeah, because it's their sons, it's their brothers, it's their lovers, it's their husbands, it's the good old black man who's so oppressed, but it's okay if he's oppressing and killing black girls and women. Like, y'all, this is some sick shit. This says a lot about who we are in our communities. This says a lot. And when people rather go take their chances with the enemy, that should say something to us. That you would rather find safety in someone who we think is our enemy, but really your enemy is the person who look like you. And don't nobody want to hear shit about no systematic racism and all. When somebody is killing you, that's the last fucking thing on the person who's being murdered mind. Stop trying to make us eat that. Stop that.
And it's not fair, because once again, the onus is continuously put on us. And again, we're not getting reciprocity. That's what I keep saying. We're not getting reciprocity. And like you said, nobody wants to hear about because some sister they feel has abandoned ship.
Yeah, don't nobody. Your life is your own. You don't get the right to take a life. I'm sorry. There's no excuses for that. I don't give a damn if your mom abandoned you. I don't give a damn what it is. You do not have the right to take somebody's life. I don't give a damn how you feel about yourself. You don't get the right to do that. I want y'all put up here. I want y'all to see this sister from Burlington, this sister from South Bend, Indiana. This sister from White Plains, Georgia, from Waycross, Georgia. Black folks is a lot of us all in the South. These are just the ones I'm posting that I'm up. That's on her page. Y'all, this is ridiculous. This says a lot about us as a people. And let me just say this for the record. Don't nobody give a damn about systematic oppression. Don't nobody want to hear that bullshit. That's bullshit. That's like when your teacher asks for your homework and you got 1,000 excuses why you didn't do it when you should have just did your goddamn homework. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. Stop justicizing and politicizing black women's lives. Stop it. This is senseless murder. Person fucks with you every day, but you go kill your woman. That's not okay.
It's not.
I am totally outraged. I think this is like somebody come asking me about supporting some shit. I'm probably going to cuss you out. Just going to let you know. Because I ain't hear none of y'all talk about these numbers.
And that's the thing. Nobody is talking about it. And when I do it, it's like, oh.
Just to keep on.
Yeah.
Keep on.
And I will. I'm not stopping. I'm not going to stop. When people talk about hills they're going to die upon, this is a hill I'll die on. It's for the black woman and girl.
This is ridiculous.
I will die on that hill, and I mean that. I will die on that hill, because who's doing anything for us? Who's doing anything for us but us? Nobody wants to talk about that, but they want to make us feel bad because it's not about the black man. It's not focused on him.
No.
What are we supposed to do?
We know. Good black men know when they're good black men. They don't see this and be like, you making me feel bad. They see this and say, this is crazy. The hell is wrong with you? That's what they say. They don't sit there and try to condone it because they don't see themselves in black men who are murderers. They don't see themselves in black men who are violent. They don't see that.
Yeah.
Now, black people who have a problem with the ones who are guilty of doing the shit because they think they own black women's bodies. That's what this is really about. You think you own us. You don't own us. We birthed you. You didn't birth me.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't own me. Stop it. She don't want to be with you. Kick rocks. It's 1,000 women out there. The ratio is big. Why must you take her life? People fuck with you every day, black man, every day. You're supposed to be some kind of target. You don't mess with none of those fucking people, but you come home and kill another black woman. Please, I don't understand.
That's what I'm saying. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. They're killing. Generations are dying. That one woman, from her springs many multiple generations are just gone when you kill one Black woman.
Look,
Generations gone, executed, no longer. But these dysfunctional brothers out here continuously, you got these Black women continuing their effed up bloodlines.
I think they should be in jail right with him. I think they should be right on in prison with him. That's what I think. And that will cut all that shit out. Because you don't have no shame in yourself. You can go to jail. A nice place to live and everything.
Yes. They're perpetuating it. And just like I say, just like we have traitors, these Black women out here who are supporting this bullshit, those are traitors to the collective of Black women and girls, and I have no use for them.
I don't either. 269 Black women have been murdered by Black men as of January 2020. And 117 of them have been since the quarantine.
Yes.
That's ridiculous. That's I don't even have no words for it. I don't even have any words for it. It's like, oh my God. I can't imagine how people are feeling. See, my thing is, we want to talk Black liberation. We want to talk Black empowerment. We don't want to talk Black safety. We don't want to talk about safety. We don't want to talk about valuing the very life that produces all the life. We don't want to talk about that.
No, that's ignored because you're seen as complaining. You're seen as, again, you against the Black man. Oh, because other races, they do it too. I don't care what other races do. That's not my problem. I let other people deal with their community issues.
Yeah, I'm the same way, sis.
They deal with it. I don't care. It happens in other communities, but guess what? I don't live in other communities. I'm concerned about my own with people who looks like me. And this is something else that another young lady had told me. No one ever accuses predators of hating Black women and girls.
Of course not.
When Black women,
they just blame his mom.
When Black women call out predators and the men who refuse to hold predators accountable, we're accused of hating Black men. So apparently, calling out predators and predatory behavior is hateful, but it's not hateful to prey on Black women and girls.
I agree. Right on. One of my homeboys is on here. He just like right on. He said it should be death, not jail, death. And that's how I feel. I figured for a life, but that's just me. I just feel like that will stop a lot of bullshit. Because in the Wild West, you didn't do shit if you knew people come check you and it'd be justified. Like, keep your hands and your bullets and your knife and your hands around the person's throat to your goddamn self. And she don't want to be with you and she done, let her walk out the door. You walk out the goddamn door. There are so many women out here who would love to have you.
Yes, and this is like what they're doing is we talk about historically the Hutus and the Tutsis and stuff, all of this stuff that's nowhere near us, that's not connected to us physically, geographically. None of this, the Holocaust, none of this stuff has anything to do with us. We are committing genocide here in the United States against our own people. As I told you earlier, femicide. The United Nations loves to talk about femicide. Black women, with femicide as it relates to Chinese people who might have one too many children, so they're burying and smothering little girls. You got it over in India where it's happening, over in Africa. What about the femicide that I just laid out to you?
Right on.
Where's the United Nations and human rights organizations to talk about the femicide that's happening in the United States with Black women and girls? Because if this was white women and girls,
shit,
NATO, UNESCO, and any PETA hell would be involved.
Right on.
but we're
And
not even a blip on the radar.
right on. Because that's a worth thing. But we, sis, I mean, I do the best I can, but something else in the pit of my stomach, something's got to be done. Like, just, I don't know what it is, but something's just got to be done. We can't go on like this. We cannot.
It's getting to it's almost, again, I love science. It's almost like we're at an extinction, like it's almost like an extinction level event. Like we're going around, just what are we trying to do? Are we trying to make Black women and girls extinct and obsolete? I mean, you see this kind of talk on these manospheres and these Black woman hater sites and stuff. You see this, but this is real. This is real. It's happening, and nobody's doing anything about it. It's a joke. Oh well, if it don't apply, let it fly. But there are innocent Black women who are being attacked simply for being a Black woman or girl.
Right on. And she deserves to have protection. She deserves to be safe. And you should not have to look at your brother like he's your enemy. Like I may have to pack my pistol in case you get out of order. Before you kill me, I'm going to kill you. It should not get to that point. But if you want to be safe and you want to live, it may be at that point right now. 269 is ridiculous.
More Black women are starting to take weapons training classes, and they're buying firearms.
It ain't who you think is going to be for. I'll tell you that.
It is a word to the wise. People better start checking themselves, and Black men need to start checking other Black men.
Yeah,
that's what it really boils down to.
The language. There is something about the ownership in the language. I don't know if because my grandparents were deaf and mute, but I'm really particular on language. And when we let shit slide, we basically give permission. When we don't check a person, we basically say, it's okay. You can shit on our women. It's okay. You can slap her around. I ain't going to say nothing. Ain't none of my business. We basically are giving people permission. And then you want me, the Black woman who you murdering, to stand up for your Black ass. Are you serious? Are you serious? No, never happened.
It's just like, what in the world is happening? I've been in healthcare. I've been in healthcare for a long time. I'm a nurse. I'm out there in the community. I work with the community because this is my way of giving back to the Black community. You can be educated. I know it's a lot of pro-Black folks out there who want to rail against college education and going to the white man's college or whatever. I don't want to hear all that. I can educate myself and use that education for good, and that's what I'm doing. I come back to the Black community for reasons, statistical reasons. I can use my education to lay out research, to put out the numbers. My numbers don't come from the CDC, the FBI, or anywhere else. My numbers come from Rosa. I independently research. I go out and use these numbers. I do all my work myself. I don't ask for help. I've never taken one donation. I do this out of love for my people. So I know how to go in, look at the data, start parsing it and see where it's coming from. These numbers of violence are coming from within the community. There's a very, very low percentage of interracial crime where it involves a Black or a white man against a Black woman. Of course, intraracial crime happens a lot. I'm not, of course, you're more subject to.
If a Black man put his hand on a white woman, the white man, even though he may not like the white woman, he would take pleasure in killing the shit out that white man. Out that Black man. So he knows that there is value on white life, period. No matter how trashy it is, no matter what kind of white woman it is, high, low, or whatever, her man, her brother will come handle you, period. Yeah. And you go to jail if you live to tell about it.
And again, this is why I don't deal with feminism. I deal with womanism. That's womanism is from a Black female perspective. I don't get into feminism because a lot of times when you because I've dealt with them. Don't get me wrong, because as a nurse I have to dwell within certain circles to get the information that I need. But what I'm saying is, when you start dealing with them feminists, them white women, it's all about privilege for them. They want privilege. They want their voices heard. They want whatever issue it is that's going on with them, because they're using the system as a way to get back at their white man who they feel has oppressed them. That's why I stopped dealing in those circles.
Yeah.
And they don't care about listening to the voices of non-white women, because this feminism is, from what I see, is starting it, for me, what my perspective is, that's a way for them to get back at their man. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's not my fight. I'm not getting into that.
Right
so
on.
What I do is deal with womanism from a Black perspective. We have issues in our community that need to be dealt with. And again, although white men are some of the biggest oppressors on this earth, patriarchy, however you want to call it, I don't care what they do to their white woman. They can go inside her head, they can do whatever they do to her, but guess what? They're going to stand up for her too.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
So, I'm not dealing with that. When we get to a point where our men are standing up for us, then we can be taken seriously. That's my point. Look at the numbers. Look at who's doing this to us. Let's start taking one another seriously. And I don't care to hear about female-headed households and the Black community is a matriarchy, because it's not. It's a failed matriarchy.
Yeah.
It's a failed matriarchy, because we have single households headed by women, and the situation is dire. Ain't nobody helping nobody. Ain't nobody sending folks off to college. Ain't no real queens and queens doing queenly things, because that's just double talk and stuff. I don't listen to that kind of language.
Yeah.
Because the Black community is a failed matriarchy, period.
Yeah.
And we need to stop talking about it and blaming us. It's a whole community effort that has created the situation that we're in. Accountability is what we need to start drumming into our heads. Accountability, accountability, accountability. Black women, we need to be accountable for the things we know we need to do. And Black men, you need to start holding one another accountable. It starts with me, Rolanda, and other sisters who talk to our sisters. But it's not my job to talk to a man to tell him what he needs to be telling his brothers, because I'm not a man. I can't do it.
And I just have to go back to the Black mamas for just a minute. I'm talking about the mothers of the sons who do this, because I also understand, and sometimes for some women, I use the word some Black people. I know that's hard. Y'all want to make everybody one, but now I'm saying some, because I know all Black people aren't the same. But I also know I watch the way we rear our children, and I watch people not correct their sons when they're doing shit. When he says little things, I watch the way we position our boys to have no accountability. And then when the police get like, they done killed my boy, and it's just like, well, was you killing him slowly? Like, come on, I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying there's some things we could be doing in our community when we know that 70% of the households are headed by Black women. And we're talking about disrespect of Black girls and women from Black boys. Hey, let's back up, mama. Not letting daddy off the hook, but I gotta be honest. Women hold all the keys to this shit straight up. Because you form in her. She births you, she feeds you, she does everything for you. So if you see another woman are a girl and you have no respect for her, that has everything to do with your damn mom.
It really does. That's why, again, I say it's a failed matriarchy. It's not a true matriarchy. It's a failed one because they're failing to instill the right values, morals, and what it takes to actually navigate as a healthy individual in the community. Because she's not a man, she can't raise a boy. So her way of combating whatever it is, or dealing with raising a son is almost just becoming a yes man to the son. She doesn't know, she can't, she doesn't know what to do with all that male energy. Let's be honest. There's only, and that's why I hate when I hear women say, I'm the mother and the father. No, you're just the mother. You can never be a father.
Right on.
You can't do it. That's why we have these boys running out in the street doing whatever it is, because their mothers, and it can go 50-50. Some of the mothers don't give a damn.
Your real basic personal instruction. Let me be clear when I say this. I'm not letting men off the hook, but what I am saying is mothers give such an instruction. We are the foundation. You live in us. What I eat, you eat. If I decide to have water, you get to have water. That's the way it was set up. There ain't nothing I came up with, Rolanda Wilkins. That's how it's set up. And so if we don't watch how we're teaching our boys, how we teach them to respond to the girls and women in their life, men got the stuff they have to do. I can't talk for a man because I'm not a man, but I can surely talk as a woman. Making sacrifice, not dating a whole bunch of goddamn people, not letting him see you have any old kind of man, because man is so important. He could be beating the shit out of me and I'm gonna stay there, or he could be like wreaking havoc in my house, and because I'm so desperate for a companion, I'm gonna stay there. What do you think that teaches your son? What do you think that teaches him?
Well, you have to go back to some of the old sayings that the old folks would say in the community. And this is what it is. And some Black women they don't want to hear it. But the truth is, Black women raise their daughters, but love on their sons.
Black women love their sons and raise their daughters. I've been hearing that my whole life, and it's a true statement.
Yep.
They scratch heads.
I can look at it.
True statement.
I can look at it even within my own family, not my immediate family, but the overall family. Let's be real. The daughters, let's be real. The daughters are told, get yourself a job, go to college, do what you got to do to take care of yourself. But then you look up and them.
Hold on, y'all. Her sound went down. She probably had a call coming in.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the call coming. Go ahead.
Okay. But what I was saying was, even in my own family, the Black women or the girls are raised. They get educated. They get a job. They do everything they're supposed to do. But then you look up, and Uncle Jimmy's still living on the damn couch at 60 years old. He's still in grandma's house at 60 years old, ain't made a contribution to the household, let alone society. And he been taken care of. Meanwhile, his sister been out of the house since she was 18, taking care of business, doing what she got to do. And then, and that adds another layer of why you do have these Black women who hate Black men, because they see the dynamics in their own family.
Now you're talking about some other stuff that, Black folks, we don't want to be talking about stuff like that because we're supposed to be like everybody else.
Right.
Whatever the hell that means. I don't really know what that means, but that's what we.
So that's why when I raised my daughters, because I'm a mother of 4 daughters, I raised them the way a lot of what people consider immigrant communities or foreigners. I raised my daughters that they can stay home as long as they want to until they get married.
Yes, my mama was.
And that's what they did. My 2 oldest now married out of the home, have very healthy relationships, good husbands, good Black men
Right on.
that were raised in healthy, normal relationships, because it's not all Black men,
Right on.
but it's far too many that the good ones get drowned out because they're afraid to speak up because they might be viewed as a simp, a punk, or what have you.
Right on. Sister in Detroit said they put an article out in the U.S. Today, said that the crime rate went down basically during the COVID pandemic. But then it says in Detroit, now listen to this, there were 769 domestic violence calls within 2 weeks.
But crime went down.
Yeah, but there was 769. Here we go, that's 69 again. 769 domestic violent calls within 2 weeks of March. So those last 2 weeks in March, 769 domestic violence calls.
And that sister in Detroit is right. I'm originally from Detroit, left there in 2014, but it's it's something to deal with. That's why I say I don't use the FBI statistics. I don't go by the CDC because I use actual real-time stuff that's going on. You can't sit up and tell me that crime has went down and then talk out the other side of your neck and talk about some 769 domestic related crimes in 2 weeks. Well, crime didn't go down.
Right on.
That's a lot of calls in 2 weeks. And just imagine these poor children who are in household where child abuse and sexual abuse is going on. I worry about them babies.
Me too.
The mamas getting knocked upside their head and the babies too. So it's so much going on right now, and the crime rate is going up because these murder rates of Black women and girls are going up. I can see it for myself. And I'm not using those statistics that they're talking about because it's hogwash. Because see, we got to separate our numbers from the general public. We have to.
Right on.
We cannot include ourselves because don't include me in your bullshit statistics when it suits you. But once this pandemic is over, before the pandemic and post-pandemic, it's going to go back to the status quo of Black folks as savages,
right?
And they're violent. But right now, we're all in this together.
And then, you know what pisses me off is to hear Black people talk about they want to make sure the cops can bring this person in safely when that person wasn't thinking about the safety of the person they murdered. I don't understand that kind of shit. I just don't. I just don't understand. I don't.
Just like the man who just killed 5 over in Milwaukee. He was able to go in without a scratch. He didn't kill 5 people, shot them down in a house, a bloodbath, left a 3-month-old, left that one alive, but he left without a scratch. Man in Pontiac, Michigan, just killed his girlfriend of 18 years, shot her in the car, and he walked 13 minutes to the police station like it was nothing and told them what he just did. Ain't nobody whooping him upside his head. But it's amazing how violent people, they don't do nothing to them. But these innocent people getting shot down like dogs. And I see up in the State House today in Michigan, because I still follow a lot of news out of Michigan, armed white men just stormed the Capitol in Lansing, Michigan. I'm talking about with guns. They ran up in the state Capitol where the governor is. Wasn't no bloodbath up there.
No.
When I say they stormed that Capitol with their guns, they went up to that Capitol today trying to get on Governor Whitmer's head about this lockdown because they talking about their constitutional rights have been violated. And all they did was protect the governor, but they ain't shoot not one of them white men. And black men, that's what y'all need to be looking at. This is the stuff y'all need to be looking at, talking about some systemic oppression or systematic racism and all of that. And do y'all see what these white men are able to do? Protect your community the way that they want to act a fool over some health issue. This is some real stuff. We having a health issue, and they worried about going to the bar, going bowling, going to the golf course. So they want to storm the Capitol.
All I'm saying, we got to make sure black girls and women are protected.
Where's our protection? Storm our neighborhoods.
Yeah, we need to be protesting up and down our goddamn block. We need to be holding each other accountable. And I'm saying definitely hold your boys and men accountable, but hold these trifling ass women accountable too.
Definitely.
Whatever I was growing up, if I was to say anything negative about a black man, you know how many black women would check my ass?
Before you can get it to finish the sentence.
Right on. That's what it was like for me. So
they do be like that too.
Here they say, black girls is ghetto. Check their ass.
Right.
Check them immediately. Because that's how it starts. It's called language, family. You know that shit don't sound right. There's a video out of a rapper basically talking about another rapper's daughter being black and ugly and bitches or whatever. And I'm like, y'all act like that's some new shit. I remember hearing that in the rap music in the motherfucking 90s. That's why I turned the shit off.
You know what? You know what? People were mad about that video.
They sing theyself.
They sing theyself, and folks don't like airing their dirty laundry, and we in mixed company, so we can't talk like that in front of the company. That's what it was about. That talk that he was talking, brutalizing. Who talks about he was sound like an outright pedophile, if you ask me.
Yeah, a 6-year-old black girl. That's what somebody should just came and busted right in his head, just laid him flat out. But that's just me. Who does some shit like that? And then who be shocked? See, my thing is, we act like we haven't heard this language before. If you're watching television, you've seen it.
If you support these rappers, you've heard it.
Yeah, you know we talk like that in our language. At my house, we wasn't allowed to talk like that. To be honest, we didn't say fair skin good. We said
I'm busy, and I'll talk to him in the morning.
We just did not. So I'm just saying the numbers are ridiculous. That 269, it don't make no sense, but 117 since the shutdown. I mean, that's ridiculous, and we should be outraged. I don't want to hear shit about no motherfucking free nothing, and we're not gonna make sure black women or girls are protected. I just don't want to hear none of that bullshit. I just don't. I come from people who are fighters and warriors and protectors, and if they survive all the shit we've been through to now be killed by somebody who look like you, that's bullshit.
Right. That's why when people say, I don't want to hear what Martin, Malcolm, Stokely, and I don't want to hear about what they died for, because they sure in the hell didn't die for y'all killing us.
Yep, they surely didn't. You ain't never lied, sis.
Stop bringing up those brothers. Stop bringing them up. Stop bringing up all of these people who actually were trying to do something for the community, but were exterminated. Don't even defile their name by putting it in your filthy mouth. That's right. When you're not doing nothing for the community. If you're not living by the example that they tried to set, you aren't worthy enough to even speak their name, because you're not protecting the very ones that Malcolm said was the most disrespected woman on the planet.
Right on. Right on. No, you right, sis. You right. Well, sis, look, we gotta wrap up. I'm over here.
We do.
I'm gonna have to go get me a cup of iced tea or something. I'm hot as hell up here, because I just think this is just so ridiculous, and I just don't want to hear about black women. Black women are being murdered. Say something about that. I know it is not as beautiful rolling off your beautiful lips, but we got to talk about it.
Yeah, that's what I say now.
Come to the fight because it's the right fight, not because somebody killed you tonight. Come to the fight because it's the right thing to do. Don't wait for a special invitation.
Right.
Don't wait for it. Report the duty. We need
All you have to do is open your front door.
better. Don't wait for a personal invitation. Don't do it.
Yeah. And you know, so in a lot of us are starting to wake up. It's a slow process, but it's happening. And I think that's Black men as well as women. And even those of us who no longer actually live in the hood and don't live in the community, because I'm one of those. But guess what? I give back. I don't just talk the talk, I walk it. I give back. And I do my part to try to elevate others, because that's what I'm here for. And I want other people to do the same. We can clean up our community. We need to start self-policing. And that's what it boils down to. You don't like the crooked cops? Police yourself.
Right on. Right on, sis. Right on.
All right. Well, you all have a good evening or afternoon. And again, Our Lives Matter is my page. You can see a lot of the stories on there. And for the Black women, I do have a group for it's Black women only, because I feel that we need to have a platform where we feel free to voice our own opinions and be heard. So you can also join the group. But men, you're welcome to join the discussion on the page, because the page is open.
Right on. Thank you, sis. Have a great evening. Thank you for giving us your time, y'all. Thank you for joining us on Our Lives Matter, Black Girls and Women, with our dear sister Rosa. This is, sis, you always come with the information. We need you to stay on your square, and I'm going to be right here pumping it with you. We got to make sure our Black girls and women are safe. This murdering of us is just not, it can never be cool. It's an outrage. We should all be mad as hell.
Yes.
I am. So I'll see you next week, sis.
All right. See you. Blessings, everybody.
All right.